What does it feel like to release the idea of falling behind, even if it's just for a moment? To let the thoughts come and go. To let any strong emotions rise and fall. What does it feel like? What's left when you let them pass? Take a deep breath. Tune into the beating of your heart and awaken to a fresh perspective. Welcome to See More with More C, your go-to podcast for shifting beyond the noise of the mind. And what's up? My name is More C. I help entrepreneurs, leaders, and creatives just like you invite presence into your life. You're not falling behind. It's just a thought. You don't have to believe it. That is the power in awareness. When thoughts rise and fall, when emotions come and go, all that's left is awareness. You're still here. The thoughts are gone. The thought of falling behind, it's gone. It dissolved. But you're still here in this moment. You still have the space to be, to take the next step that's most optimal for your path, for you. I know that in this current climate, it's easy to feel like you're falling behind, right? As an entrepreneur, as a leader, or a creative. One of the best places to show your work, to show what you can offer others, is on social media. And spaces like social media thrive on urgency. It thrives on quick growth. Having this meteoric rise as soon as possible. You open up any app and you're guaranteed to see how to reach X amount of followers in X amount of time. After being here, sharing my work for going on 6 years now, I found that that's an overhyped standard. I found that it's actually become this romanticized expectation. It's become an expectation rather than a byproduct of your deep work, of your creativity and craftsmanship. And there's a pressure there. And so there's a thought that goes on a loop. I'm falling behind. I need to catch up. I'm falling behind. I need to catch up. Hey, and I'll say this. Sometimes it's helpful. Sometimes that gives you a little boost, this surge of energy to finish a project, to get started on an idea. It does what it needs to do sometimes. But when that stays on a loop, then it starts to take a toll on your confidence. The noise of the mind, it gets in the way of the isness of the moment. It gets in the way of presence. When thoughts rise and fall, when emotions come and go, what's left when they pass? What comes to mind is thinking of a tree. I think a tree is like probably some of the best ways to share metaphors, right? Just nature in general. It's awesome. The sky, the trees, right? Think of a tree. When a tree is growing, it's not looking at another tree and saying, oh, how fast is this tree growing? Just naturally, it's in its own rhythm. It's following what it needs. What tree branch needs to break off here? Where does it need to move to get a little sunlight here and there? It's just in its own lane, in its own zone. Yeah, there's some influences. Maybe there's another tree that needs some shade too, right? But what I'm saying here, all right, is that, yeah, there's going to be influences around you. There's going to be some pressure. It's okay to feel pressure. It's okay to feel this need to grow quickly, right? It's just inevitable in this climate. But it's up to you to return to presence, to recognize that there's nowhere else but here. There's nothing else but now. And when you're tuned into that, falling behind it fades away. Even if it's just for a second. And in that second, recognize that relief. That's already showing you a reality where you don't have to be on edge about a perceived future. That you can trust what is arising in this moment. You can welcome the fact that there's nothing wrong in this moment. There's nothing wrong. Your progress, it doesn't need to be fixed. All it needs is your presence. Thoughts, sensations, circumstances, they all come together to show you your next steps. And even in the idea of next, it's still the moment, right? This is just a word. This is just language, right? Presence in many ways. Language, it kind of limits that. That's why being here in the gaps of space, without trying to rush to hear what's next, what I have to say, right? I shared this in one of my last podcast episode. Can you be here with me in this space, in this silence, without rushing to hear what's next? It's in the space where you begin to see more. This moment is complete. You're not falling behind. The idea of falling behind, it's just an aspect of the mind, the storyteller. It's trying to make sense of where you are right now. It doesn't mean any harm. It's not trying to intentionally harm you, right? It's the mind, just a tool. It's awareness that allows you to harmoniously use the mind, right? There's a harmonious nature where you can use it instead of the mind using you and controlling you and constantly overthinking and anxiety on overdrive, right? All the feelings we feel, they're normal. It's okay to feel. It's okay to feel an urgency, a rush. It's okay to feel anxiety. It's okay to overthink. Those things happen. It happens. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. It's in your awareness of allowing them to come and go, or just allowing them to be without trying to fix it. What happens when you don't try to fix it? You don't try to resist. Like truly not trying to resist. What's left? You're not falling behind. It's just a thought. You don't have to believe it. I encourage you to subscribe to my newsletter, The Enlightened Entrepreneur. This is one of the topics that those that are subscribed really enjoy because it truly speaks to what we're going through. It truly speaks to what we're feeling in the moment. And in The Enlightened Entrepreneur, I help you recognize that your growth is normal. You're on a very natural progression. There's nothing wrong with you. In The Enlightened Entrepreneur, in this newsletter, you receive bonus content, meditations, articles, and videos that help you tune into presence. I have a very specific way of writing. I'll share with you specifically during this process of me just taking my time. I've figured out a style that really matches the message I'm trying to convey and share. Presence, non-duality, it's what is. I'm simply pointing to what's already here. I'm pointing to the flow of life so that you can see it. This teaching, in a way, is not necessarily trying to get you to learn something, but to become aware of something. And when you become aware of presence, when you become aware of the natural rhythm of life, you can rest in knowing that you don't have to figure anything out, really. Thoughts, sensations, circumstances, they all come together to show you what's next, quote unquote. Life's unfolding. It never happens in the future. It happens now. So wherever you are in this moment, it's where you're supposed to be. You're not falling behind. And even if you think you're falling behind, it's okay. Pause for a moment. Notice how your body feels when you let go of that thought. What changes? What changes when it passes?